Welcome to another session of life lessons, business tips, and skills. Today we're going to be talking about trust. What is trust? Good question, isn't it? My name is Jerry, and let's get right into this. So, Oxford Dictionary basically defines trust as a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. So, I'll repeat it again. The firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. That is what trust is. So, okay, that's the definition of trust. So reliability, truth, ability, and strength. Okay, so let's unpack that topic, that definition. All right. While we're doing that, I'll give you another quote. Trust is a greater compliment than affection. That's by George MacDonald. And with integrity comes respect. So trust sounds like a very important thing, right? In families, in life, in business, you want to have trust in order to be able to work together well with people around you. All right. Have you ever heard someone tell you that they don't trust you? Or have you had a circumstance where someone came by and just said, you know what, I can't trust you to do this, or I can't trust you in this circumstance, or something like that? How did that make you feel? Were you offended? Were you like, how dare you? Um, or did you take a different approach and be like, okay, you don't trust me here. I wonder why. What is it that I have done or not done that maybe I can improve and do better? So trust, especially when somebody tells you, if they're candid enough to tell you that they don't trust you in a certain circumstance, it's actually a great feedback, because typically you're working with people, you're within families, and if you don't get that feedback, you assume everything is great. But then maybe behind the scenes, other people are like, okay, I can't trust this person with this or that. And if they don't ever tell you that, you don't have that insight to improve. So you're basically living life with blinders on, and eventually you're going to fall off a cliff or fall in a pothole or something. So trust, especially if somebody gives us some feedback about not trusting us, it's actually a good thing if we want to get better internally. So what are some ways to gain trust? So we were talking about reliability, truth, ability, and strength. Those four items. How can we be more reliable? If we want to gain trust, we want to be more reliable. We need to be more reliable with the things we're doing, with how we respond to people, with how we're on top of our things that we're doing. If we're reliable, that increases our trust with whoever we're reliable for. If we are truthful, how do we communicate? So we can talk and be transparent. We can talk about the value, talk about whatever the content of the information is, but do we embellish it? Do we add on a lot of things that are kind of assumptions or not quite the pure truth? How we communicate is going to enable us to be more trustworthy or less trustworthy. And then the other one is the ability. So this is our skills, our effort. What do we put in? Are we always just trying to get a quick fix in? Or are we really getting the right solution, get to the root of the problem, solve the root of the problem, and then the problem goes away? So our ability enables us to be more trustworthy or less trustworthy. And then strength. What is our strength? That could be physical strength, that could be mental strength. You can look at it in different ways. So the stronger we are, the more trust we will gain. But it's a combination of all four of those things. It's not just one or the other. How do you lose trust? Well, it's always good to look at contrast. How do you gain it? How do you lose it? So it's easy to lose trust when we just assume and relay the assumptions over without stating that those are assumptions. So somebody else picks it up as the truth when it's not the truth. So miscommunications, whether they're intentional or not, typically they're unintentional. That's what a miscommunication is. but you want to clarify whatever information you're passing along or you're receiving. Misunderstanding. So somebody states one thing, we just run with it with the assumption that we understood what they said, even though maybe they meant something else. So again, it goes back to the communication part. How about setting expectations or not even setting them? So we assume, it kind of goes back to that assumption, assume that we know what the person's intentions are or expectations are, and we go run with it, and then we later find out they meant something else or they expected something else. So number one thing to lose trust would be the communication or the lack thereof or miscommunication. Reliability is the other one. So being inconsistent, doing something one way one time, not showing up the next time, coming in late, things like that. That's the reliability portion. So not being reliable is what's going to decrease your trust level with another person. Your skills, are you constantly improving yourself, or are you staying kind of stagnant at a certain level? If you're just stuck at a certain level and you're not increasing, eventually people can trust you up to that point, but they cannot trust you beyond it. Another way to look at trust is with the people that we have around us. If you are talking to a stranger, what is your automatic trust level with a stranger? Typically, you don't trust them. Typically, it's very, very low trust. Then you have acquaintances, people you've met a couple of times. You know, maybe it's a little bit better than a stranger, but not much more. How about a friend? So depending on your level of friendship, you will have a little bit higher trust or lower trust, again, depending on how long you've been friends. If you're BFFs, your trust level is way up. If you're just casual friends, your trust level is probably lower. How about a running mate? Running mate could be in the business. Typically, that should be somebody you really, really trust pretty much with your life. Then what about your children, your wife, husband? Typically, again, the trust level is higher. But there's a catch to all of this. When we're talking about trust, remember we had those four things. We had the reliability, the truth, the ability, and the strength. So let's use children as an example. If you want your child to go pick up something heavy and put it somewhere, are you going to trust them to do that? You really can. I mean, if they're like 2 years old and you're trying to have them pick up a 30-pound weight or something and move it to another location, you're not going to ask them to do that. You're not going to trust them to do that. That wouldn't be right. But if you apply that example to somebody else and you tell your child, well, I don't trust you to do this or that. You know, is that child supposed to be offended that you don't trust them? That's an insight for you in terms of the trust having the different dynamics to it. So when we're talking about trust in different types of relationships, it comes to, you can almost like break it into two parts. It's intentions versus the outcomes. So do you trust a person's intentions? That would be one thing. And then do you trust that they will be able to deliver a certain outcome that you're looking for? So a lot of times in our friends, in our family circles, we trust our people around us. We trust their intentions, but we may not trust that they will be able to deliver certain outcomes that we're looking for. So again, coming into that, being offended, not offended about somebody telling you that they trust you or not, look at it that way. It could be that the people that are trusting you in terms of trusting your intentions, that you want the best for them and yourself in that environment, but maybe they doubt your ability to deliver. So if that's the case, that again, that's feedback for you and you can use that to improve yourself. So when it comes to trust, look at it in the multiple aspects that it is. So I encourage you to get out there, to see who you can trust, who you cannot trust, who you can build a better relationship with, who you need to cut out of your inner circles or outer circles. We'll see you in the next video.